But I want to pull up this tweet from Brett Weinstein and get into this, and we'll talk about this divide. Brett Weinstein tweeted in response to a tweet from Don Winslow, who says, "New video, Trump's new army, volume up. On January 20th, Donald Trump will no longer be the commander-in-chief. He will lose control of the U.S. armed forces and take control of a new army." Brett Weinstein says this video is diabolical, painting millions of citizens not only as disloyal to the nation, but as literal terrorists, as it attempts to draft the rest into fighting their neighbors in a civil war the filmmakers clearly desire. I stand with all patriots against this madness. And so we have this. This is the tweet from Brett, and then it was a different tweet. So this is the video he posted, and I'm not going to play through the whole thing because I think it's disturbing and it's quite long, but it shows regular people at a Trump rally and says this army. It's just people who showed up. It's just people waving American flags. Right. What they don't realize, or what I think they don't care about, is that at D.C. you had hundreds of thousands of people cheering for the president as he gave one of his last big public events. Then you had a few thousand march on the Capitol grounds, and a few hundred went inside. Those people are all being arrested. It was a stupid thing to do. They shouldn't have done it. They're going to get arrested for it. Well, so be it. But the overwhelming majority, hundreds of thousands of people, didn't do or say anything to anybody. They showed up. There was one guy who lost his record label, booed him. What was his name?
Ariel Pink.
Ariel Pink.
Yep.
Because he was just there. And he said, I went and saw the speech and then went back home. There's an intelligence, a psychological operations officer being investigated for simply bringing people to see the president speak and then going back to her hotel. That's how, insane things are getting. And so I know they'll say I'm biased, and they like to, assign your whether you're left or right, not based on what you believe, but based on who you defend, I guess. But when you have a dude coming out, putting a video up, encouraging civil war and telling people to fight their neighbors, that's not coming from the right. The right is the worst of the worst conspiracies we get from the right are pointed at global elites, bankers, politicians. The left is targeting working class people, regular Americans walking around on the ground. That's why, I talk about this. We talk about civil war. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying it's a bad thing. Right. And I'm saying so long as these people keep advocating for things like this and putting these videos out, they're not getting banned when they do this. It is people like Brett Weinstein who had Unity Party trying to bring people together. Nope, banned. It's conservatives.
They got banned? Unity got banned?
Yep.
Why did it get banned?
No idea. No one knows. Are you familiar with the Unity Party?
Mm-mm.
So Brett Weinstein is a professor. He's a smart fellow. And he wanted to get a left-wing individual and a right-wing individual and have them run on the same ticket to unify as much of the left and the right as possible to stop this divide. And social media nuked his campaign. Just outright removed it.
Yeah, we're in a toxic environment, and that's not going away anytime soon. I talked about the 5%, but that was of the day, as we daily update that.
Well, so do you mean like a 5% chance? Is that what that means?
Right, that in the sense of even what would happen tomorrow. So we're not activated, right? We don't believe it's going.
That's kind of high.
It is.
Yeah, what was it? 1 in 20.
So you have, it's the reasons, it's the cascading effects behind all this. It's never just one thing. It's how this continues to build. And, I don't know how small or if there will be a honeymoon period for the incoming administration, but
Luke and I are both shaking. No.
Yeah.
I doubt it too, because of this toxic situation, and we're going to get so many precedences have been stomped upon that there's no end in sight.
Let me ask you the tough question. What if you have members who are staunchly anti-Trump? I mean, you don't screen people's politics when they become members.
No, we don't.
What happens if you've got people who are, come in there saying Donald Trump's destroyed this country, the conflict is all his fault, and then they show up one day and there's another guy who says Biden destroyed this country, it's all the Democrats' fault, and they walk up to each other, guy's got a Gadsden flag in America and the other guy's wearing Biden or whatever.
Well, if we have to come together, those things don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because things fell apart. And then people will get perspective.
I think that's actually one thing we mentioned before we before we started the show. You mentioned these silos where millionaires will get bunkers and stuff. I think actually one thing that makes what you guys do, what makes it work more than anything else is you have leadership. You have people like you who are running it who will be the ones to intervene and say, shut your mouth if you want to survive. Stop fighting over this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And see, that's really the only way it will work, because, you know, people try to do this either on their own or they try to do it in smaller groups, but it generally ends in confrontation, either financially or over how all this is going to work. And then they'll reach out and contact us and say, hey, do you want to purchase this land and stuff? Because we no longer can do this. We get that all the time, because without structure, it's not going to work. You're talking about people coming under an extremely stressful situation, and if there isn't something already in place, it'll be chaos.
Now, before you made a very good point. You're saying that people just need to take a step back. I mean, that's something me and you have been talking about for years. Like, calm down, relax, take a step back, stop escalating these things, stop the cycle of hate that's been perpetrated by the mainstream media. But it looks like we're definitely full steam ahead on the divide and conquer train, and there's no stopping it. How bad, if it would get really bad, do you see it getting? Because, as you said, it's a slippery slope. We've been seeing it for a while, but the snowball that started, it's already getting pretty big. What would be the worst possible scenario that you would see unfolding from here?
Well, I think, again, in order to get attention for an incoming administration, we're going to see an uptick in some kind of unrest. Mm-hmm. Those looking to get the attention onto them so that then they can promote whatever it is they're looking to promote. Right. So then that is going to upset those who are against whatever they are promoting. And so we're not going to see a lull. We'll see a consistent rebutting of heads. And then it really depends on what the local governments do. So much of this depends on what the politicians do in order to make this go away to a certain degree and calm it down or not. So you had the Chop Chads thing, which you guys, I'm sure, talked about.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So many times. But so when that leader comes out and says the summer of love, and she probably believed it. I mean, I have no idea, right? That was her perspective at the time, or was just something to be said politically. But then it completely collapses, and it shows you what's going on. Now, I know that's been tried, you know, in a couple of different places and other ways, but law enforcement already cut that off. They've seen it. So we won't necessarily see the same things. It's the one you don't see coming. And that's what we're going to, you know, you got to, they'll have to be on guard for, but there'll be things that'll take us by surprise.
These people who are advocating for conflict, I don't care which faction, what your ideology is, left, right, whatever. Many of them, actually, now I think it's fair to say, more so on the left than the right, they have no idea what they're asking for. I think with conservatives, you're more likely to find people who live in rural areas, who have fired guns, and who understand conflict and these threats. Not completely, but definitely more so than the left. So I guess I don't want to maybe make an issue of it for you guys, but if you can answer, do you tend to see more conservatives than liberals?
I'd say it would be fair from what, you know, those who I know, and when groups have come out, I would say definitely you can say that it leans that way, but it's not a big part of even their mentality when they come out. They're trying to get away from that. You understand that's they want to escape all of this butting of heads and all the rhetoric and all the insidious talk, you know, towards one another.
Partisan politics is insane.
But it's tribal now. It's beyond parties. Like when you have two parties, you're like, your party's wrong. Now it's tribe. It's like you are the enemy. And what scares me is I got out of Egypt just before they started just gunning down the Muslim Brotherhood. So you had, this is 2013. You had the second revolution in a year. And the problem was the Muslim Brotherhood was the largest voting bloc. So they were going to win the election. But it was creating instability because most of the country was, to a certain degree, secular and didn't want to vote for this one faction. So a minority faction winning elections was creating this instability. So the military said, here's the answer, kill him. And that's what happened. So if we're really entering this period, and this freaks me out because other people have brought up stuff like this, and I hate to even kind of talk about this stuff, but if we're at the point where you have different sides vying for the attention, going out there protesting, escalating, street battles already over the past several years between the warring tribes, not the most insane in terms of the things I've seen and would have happened in other countries, but yes, still death. Still some pretty shocking and extreme scenarios. Trump supporter getting shot in the chest walking down the street twice by this dude, and the law enforcement goes and kills this guy. We're getting to that point. My fear is, if this instability doesn't stop, do we come to a point where those in power just say, gun those people down, get rid of those people? That's the wrong tribe. Whoever's in power takes it.
No, you can never stop the instability. And the only way that you could is if they became a totalitarian dictatorship that shoved us inside and said,
That's
no
why-
more instability.
But that's why I'm saying
There will always be
Well,
instability.
but they'll go for the guns before they start shooting themselves.
Yeah.
That's the only course that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to hear from one of the common talking points from the left on guns is that you can't go up against the U.S. military. They have nukes and cruise missiles and fighter jets. And it's amazing because they've never heard of Vietnam or Afghanistan. So the government really does have to go after guns before they can do anything to lock down the people or be totalitarian.
And you can 3D print guns now, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like
That's true too, yeah.
If you have a CNC machine or don't they have metal 3D printers even?
definitely.
You can be manufacturing all this stuff very easily and cheaply now. A lot of people can. Not only that, but there's the what's the gun that can shoot one time before it breaks?
The ghost gun?
There's a plastic gun that can take one
it's
round
called
and
the
it,
ghost gun,
it
let me
fires
check.
and then breaks.
Interesting.
I don't
Because
know if it breaks, but a lot of them do break easily.
Yeah.
3D printing is not as advanced as people think it is. A lot of liberals think that you could just click print and get a fully automatic machine gun. That's not how it works.
They thought Glocks
Yeah.
would not be able to be detected by metal detectors.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand what gun parts are.
Exactly.
So they really.
There's some guns that are made with plastic, but again, they don't last that long. They are very difficult to make. You can make certain components for it, but making a full firing firearm is very, very difficult with 3D printing, to be completely honest with you. But we're kind of jumbled a little bit, but I wanted to get your perspective. Do you think that's a fair kind of analysis of the Vietnam reference when it comes to the United States, especially in our current kind of political crisis? Do you think there could be a similar kind of conflict?
It's possible. You wouldn't have said that again, 4 years ago. That would have, I think back, it was October of 2019 when the Washington Post came out and did an interview, viewed the ranch. The very things that we talked about, and I don't mean that like I told you so, any scenario like that, because this is just what we do. This is what we pay attention. But civil unrest, we talked about epidemics. We talked about all these things that are going on. When the article comes out, the hatred underneath all the remarks and things, people just could not believe that could possibly happen even then. And now we're 2 steps past that. Now we're going to have a financial reckoning soon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, because I was going to say we were just talking about politically, and there's a big chance that something like a new kind of popular Occupy Wall Street could happen. There's a chance of that, but the more likelihood kind of scenario is economic, that a lot of people aren't really looking at, that I think is the huge kind of tsunami that we're still not seeing the ramifications
Right, it's
of.
the cascading effect. So to us to reach that point, it's going to be continued lockdowns and/or different variants will come out of COVID, as we're already starting to see in the news, which continues this. It's this long process that wears people out, and then the straw that breaks the camel's back will be coming for people's guns.
It's a perfect time for me to bring up. I pulled up the Washington Post article, and there's a perfect quote for what you just said. This is from Drew Miller. Quote, people use the term civil war, and that seems hard to imagine. But what started World War I? Some guy assassinated a minor archduke. Stuff escalates unpredictably.
Yep.
That's it. The straw that breaks a camel back. You don't know what it's going to be or when or how.
I think
And
it's... Oh, sorry to interrupt you.
No. Yeah,
It's the Liberator was that gun you were thinking of. It's a one-shot 3D printable
Yeah.
pistol. And a ghost gun is a gun...
It's full plastic, though.
Yeah,
But the firing pin, is the firing pin plastic, too? It's got to be metal,
I think
right?
the entire thing was... I don't know, to be honest. They printed it. It was like one of the first guns they ever 3D printed in 2013.
Yep. And it shoots once, and then it breaks.
A ghost gun
I
is
don't
a
think
gun
it
that's...
breaks, but I think it doesn't have that many rounds that you could shoot with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this calls it a one-shot pistol.
Yeah.
You have to reload. That's
it
why,
put
yeah.
one in and it fires.
And,
But I'm
and
pretty
they
sure
did break a lot in the
Yeah.
early days. It was dangerous. Like you had to pull the trigger with a string from far away because it could explode in your hand. So be careful.
not reliable.
And a ghost gun is a gun that's printed without a serial number.
yeah.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
probably
But
lots of those.
is that legal?
No, I don't think.
think
No, you're
so.
supposed to.
No. Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do
But
Wow,
was
'cause
the
that
American
dude-
Revolution legal?
That's
Well, no, that
true.
dude. What was that guy's name in what was it, Tacoma or Olympia or whatever, who showed up at the ice facility?
Willem? Yeah, the Dutch
no,
guy.
He had a ghost gun.
Yeah.
He made a weapon and he showed up and was firebombing.
Vander's-
And it's all been this cycle of gradual escalation that I think a lot of it comes from the media. A lot of the tensions, the people being inflamed.
Crazy.
It's not just the mainstream media though; it's social media. Like look at
it's a
this
big
clip
part.
from this guy Drew. What's his name? Let me pull that Brett Weinstein thing back up. Don
yeah.
Winslow. This what is this? Let me see what he's got. 22,000 retweets.
3.8 million views.
3.8 million views. These people are being radicalized by some random dude. Well, is he random? Let's see how many followers he's got. He's got a verified account. He's got 636,000 followers. These people are psychotic. I'm sorry, man. I repeatedly on all of my segments say you don't want this. Tone it down. Stop doing this. Stop saying these things. And what do? They make more videos. They ramp it up. They go crazy. Like I said, man, if you follow all these QAnon people and these conspiracy things, I think it's nuts. But what are they complaining about? Global elites, the 1%, the bankers, the politicians. There's some issues with that for sure. You know, some people get their lives threatened and that's not a good thing. And there have been politicians people tried to kill. It's terrible. But these people are making videos targeting regular Americans just because they're wearing a red hat or waving a Gadsden flag. That kind of amping up is coming mostly from the left. And it's going to result in more extremism in the targeting of regular people. And I've seen it. I remember I think it was 2015, I watched an elderly couple get shoved to the ground, their hats ripped off and set on fire. I've seen regular people just walking on the street get punched because they thought the person was a Trump supporter. All this has been piling up. And that's why I've been saying for some time that I think we're headed towards whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Civil war, if you like to say that. Maybe Drew is more correct when he said things escalate unpredictably and we don't know what, when, or how. You know, will be that main catalyst, that shot heard around the world. No idea. Hopefully it doesn't go that far.
No, and circling back to what we were talking about, even about that 5%, chance that something, can escalate and that could actually happen. The idea is that's not happening tomorrow. There's things that are going to have to take place. When I say
Before.
right, calm down, folks. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
But it could happen tomorrow.
Well,
mean,
we
we
get
got-
struck by a meteor tomorrow.
No, we've got
Lots of
25,000
stuff could
National
happen.
Guard in D.C. right now worried because of a threat of armed militia groups occupying the Capitol. There have been literal statements from individuals, not prominent individuals. There was one guy who got arrested for leaving a voicemail saying, he's not, I don't want to repeat what he said, but he threatened to go down and do some crazy stuff with people. And they arrested the guy.
Right, but
So what
in
if-
order for what we're talking about to happen, something has to be organized. Again, there still has to be. There's things that need to take place. I truly believe we're heading down that path, and depending on what our politicians do, it will direct that path one way or another. But then you throw in the media jumping all over it. It doesn't even have to be just for political reasons. Sometimes it's just about money.
Yeah.
And it's just about the influence and the power that's gained over that. There's so many factors, but it's definitely building for sure.
Well, when you have Democrats, look, you had Ted Cruz and a variety of some other individuals calling for unity. And the response from Ocasio-Cortez was, no, resign now or be expelled. So if the establishment Republicans are like, chill, we'll unify, and the Democrats say no. And don't get me wrong, you had Democrats after the election saying, Republicans, let's unify, and Republicans said no. So it's really just like incongruity. Neither side is willing to back down. And now that the media has been shoving this Capitol riot in everyone's faces, it's crazy. There's a video of a guy in a MAGA hat walking up to cops and saying, why aren't you doing anything? Call for backup. This is the Capitol. Call for backup, trying to stop what was going on. I saw this on Reddit, and the comments were, whoa, a sane Trump supporter. That's crazy. When you see comments like that this idea that every single Trump supporter is a moron or psychotic or a cute conspiracy theorist, That's leading to this conflict.
It means that you're reading too much Reddit.
No, it means that you've got Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks doing an op-ed for The Hill, where he said you have three factions: the leftists, the establishment, and the right-wing conspiracy nutjobs who are all stupid and believe fake news. And I'm like, I wouldn't even say that about the left. I'll say there are prominent figures that are driving this, that are escalating it. But I try to separate the establishment from leftists because there are leftists who I think are good people. And I think, I disagree with or have bad ideas. That's about it. And that's like the old saying, conservatives think that liberals are misguided. Liberals think conservatives are evil. When you have videos like this saying they're all evil, it's going to get crazy. But I don't know, man. A lot of people like to say that it's something the left has no idea what they're getting themselves into because conservatives are more likely to be armed and prepared and know what's going on. But I'm not entirely convinced it would be so one-sided. I think if there really was some kind of conflict, it's probably going to be urban versus rural. That's like a big driving factor for whatever reason, different cultures. And there's going to be things that people on one side or the other side don't control or don't have. And it'll make things very difficult for everybody, which is why anybody who talks big on this stuff and wants it to happen I think there's no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, they're clueless.
There are some people who have emailed me saying, because I've said this over and over again, people who really want this have no idea what combat and conflict is really like. And then I've gotten emails from people saying that they served in the Army or the Marines or, they've been overseas in conflict and know exactly what they're talking about. There are people who are staunch, believers in traditional America and the Constitution and all of this stuff. And they're ready and willing and angry. And there are some people who know exactly what it means. And that's freaky. I think the problem is then you have the left, which is the opposite factor. And they're just angry. And they don't know what they're asking for. So the ignorance is driving them.
Yeah, you definitely have a combination that is going to, again, I always go back to what the politicians do with this, right? It's not like they're unaware. And so what happens to either fuel, we know what the media is going to do, they're just going to fuel it. They're in the business to do that. Whatever side you're on, that's how you make money.
But look at someone like Ocasio-Cortez. In order to make money in donations, she does the exact same thing. She ramps up the escalation, the tensions. She clapbacks at the Republicans. Always the Republicans are the worst. They're always bad.
Right, because she's vying to get power, right? She has not been in there that long, and so it's also a power play on her side to, again, politics is all about that influence and gaining all that backing in order to do what you think is right to do, whatever that may be. And, she's not there yet, so that's part of how she's playing it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., so come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.